The age of chaos. The age of Shockaract is here. What's up everyone, James here, and we're returning to Beast Wars The Ascending. This is sadly the end of the Beast Wars spin-off series we've covered so far. If you didn't see the first video or the first series, the link to the playlist is right here and below the like button. And be sure to hit that like button. The kind of odd thing that's going to happen is this is going to connect to beast machines. You'll see what I mean by the end of the video. So this opens with Big Convoy and his team discovering a massive tower filled with Angoma energy. Remember, this Angoma energy is Unicrons, which is chaotic and corruptive energy being used to power Shockaract, but also used to corrupt the citizens, both Predacon and Maximal alike, and spread chaos throughout Cybertron. Big Convoy mentions that this tower looks to be a part of old Cybertron, and theorizes to his team that it seems to be the epicenter of everything bad going on. Now, this is the first connection to beast machines, because if you've seen the show, the Maximals, as they descended further into Cybertron, came across ancient ruins that Optimus Primal had said were what was left by the earlier Cybertronian civilizations. Shockaract, watching him through monitors, is ready to make his move. He says, "Too late for you, Big Convoy, and for Cybertron. This is the age of Shockaract." He decides to launch his attack on Cybertron. However, the Blentrons warn him it's too soon, and try to convince him to wait longer because the Angoma energy they've been feeding him hasn't stabilized within him yet. But Shockaract refuses to wait any longer. The Blentrons do express their frustration amongst themselves, because remember, to them, Shockaract is a means to an end. He is the vessel that will bring about Unicron's return, which he is unaware of. Now, Shockaract emerges out of the massive tower in his beast mode, and strikes Big Convoy and his team. He rips apart Tasmania Kid, and tells Convoy he's next. Convoy responds by getting in his spider tank mode, which looks so badass, and says, "Whoever or whatever you are, we will never relent." Shockaract replies, "I don't want you to relent. I want you to die." He kills even more members of Convoy's team. Big Convoy fires his huge cannon. This huge blast does nothing to Shockaract. He says, "Cybertron is being remade in my image. When I ascend, it will be transmutated into an extension of my will." When Convoy replies, "You're utterly insane," Shockaract responds, "Not insane, a god in the making. You can go now." He kills Big Convoy right on the spot. Dunzo. He didn't stand a chance. Shockaract has annihilated the entire Maximal squad. This is major because Shockaract has essentially won right now. MAGMATRON witnesses all this from his temporal limbo. Remember, he is stuck here due to RAZORBEAST destroying the transwarp shut while it was activating, and he was in it at the end of Beast Wars The Gathering. So he's been stuck as a time ghost ever since, trying to prevent Cybertron's end. He says in his inner monologue, "I have been here before, a mute witness to the rise of Shockaract and Cybertron's descent into Angoma-fueled chaos. Those he does not account for destroy each other in a mad frenzy of unnatural savagery. And yet, all this is merely a prelude to the rebirth of a far greater evil, unless what is done can be undone." As that's going on, let's return to where the last video left off, in the era of the Beast Wars, with RAZORBEAST having been infected by Ratarata with Angoma energy. He has become a mindless beast, fully corrupted and fueled by pure chaos. He even has grown too, maybe like 3 times his original size, and is attacking his Maximal brothers. The Maximals are trying to talk some sense into him, but Ravage is telling them that it's a waste of time. He's gone. Lyle, Convoy, and the pack are confused by what's happened to RAZORBEAST, because they're unaware of everything that's transpired on Cybertron. Really, everyone here is unaware except Ravage, thanks to MAGMATRON informing him of everything. Now, there is a funny character moment that happens. As the Predacons are battling Ratarata, Transketo says to Injector, Is it me, or does he look familiar? This is funny because RAZORBEAST is a redeco of Injector. For those of you not familiar with the concept, a redeco or recolor is a toy made from the same parts as a previously released toy, but with different colors or paint. Injector is just like, nah, it must be your imagination. Actually, I forgot to mention that in the last video, all the Blendtrons are redecos. Elforka is a redeco of Torka, and Drancron is a redeco of Sky Shadow. Ravage confronts Lyle Convoy, and here's the interesting thing about this interaction. When he addresses him, he doesn't know who he is. He just assumes he's the guy in charge. This could show how the pack unit is the Maximal Imperium's best kept secret, because if anyone should know they exist, it would be Ravage. After all, he was a covert agent of the Predacon secret police. He tells Lyle Convoy that this whole battle isn't where the real fight is. They need to head to CYBERTRON as fast as possible. Now, despite everything Ravage had explained in the last video about MAGMATRON and Shokarak, Lyle Convoy still doesn't trust him. When Lyle asks why he should trust anything he's saying is true, Ravage answers, "You don't. And in fact, I've made a career of lying. But if you know anything about me, you'll know I look out for number one. So if I'm going these lengths to try to convince you, that should tell you how bad the situation is." Lyle Convoy ends up believing Ravage, but makes it clear before they even talk about leaving to CYBERTRON, he and the Maximals will deal with RAZORBEAST, while Ravage and the Predacons deal with RAZORBEAST. It literally takes all the Maximals dogpiling on RAZORBEAST to hold him down. That's how strong the Angoma energy has made him. All the Predacons manage to take down RAZORBEAST. Lyle Convoy desperately tries to talk to RAZORBEAST, seeing if he can get him to regain his senses. He says, "I want you to know I'm proud of you. You took on a dangerous mission and came through. Maybe even saved us all. But it's not over yet. You have to be stronger than ever before. If Ravage is right, then we're facing annihilation. As a race, we stand or fall today. And if we're to triumph, I need the best at my side. We're the pack, RAZORBEAST. We leave no one behind. Come join us for one last hurrah." This heartfelt speech helps RAZORBEAST overcome the corruption, but he tells Lyle he doesn't know how long he can hold on. He describes the corruption of the Angoma energy as a white heat in his mind, wanting him to tear and shred everything. Ravage interrupts, telling them that they all need to go now. As they're prepping the transwarp cruiser, Lyle confronts RAZORBEAST, who's been neutralized thanks to Transketo injecting him with his entire reserve of narcovirus. He asks, "Who are you, and who sent you?" RAZORBEAST answers, "If you don't know, you don't merit being told. But I am one of many, as you will soon learn." As if on cue, that's when Drancron and Elforka, fully powered by Angoma energy, come dropping in and lay into the Maximals and Predacons. Lyle orders everyone to protect the ship, because if that goes, then they're permanently stuck here. The situation initially seems to get even worse for them, because RAZORBEAST wrenched himself free from his restraints and is charging towards them. But he's not aiming for his allies. He rams right into Elforka, while yelling at everyone to go, that he's going to hold them as long as he can. He's given them a chance, which Lyle Convoy is not trying to waste. He says, "You heard him, move. He's given us a chance, and I won't see it go to waste. RAZORBEAST, I salute you. Farewell." After they transwarp, we learn through Lyle and Ravage's discussion that Ravage took a sample of RAZORBEAST's Angoma venom in order to retro-distill an immunizing agent, but the problem is none of them are scientists. However, Lyle reveals he knows one, and one that will be happy to do it for the right price. Now they transwarp to the exact moment Shockract emerged from the tower and launched his attack and ripped apart Tasmania Kid. Both Big Convoy and Shockract notice their ship, and Shockract immediately fires at it, causing the cruisers to crash. Suddenly, tears in space and time appear in the sky above. The Blentrons were not the only heralds of Shockract. What arrives through these tears are more of his heralds. He says, "They come, my heralds." They arrive with capsules filled with Angoma energy that will ensure Shockract's ascension to godhood. Shockract's heralds say, "Let the ascension begin." Now you would think Shockract's heralds brought these capsules to feed him more energy, but that isn't the case. Shockract orders them to distribute the capsules to the people of CYBERTRON in order to increase the civil unrest, thus creating more chaos and madness. Shockract plans on taking the energy from all that chaos and using it to power and awaken the anti-matrix within him. When that happens, CYBERTRON will be remade in his image. Now, out of nowhere, a shuttle drops in. Big Convoy investigates it and discovers it's piloted by a bot that goes by the name Bump. He turns out to be the scientist Lyle Convoy spoke about earlier that he contacted. Big Convoy's team and Bump go through the Pax crash cruiser, who survived the crash. Now, Ravage and Lyle Convoy explain the whole situation of how Shockract is just a conduit for Unicron to be reborn, and that's why they need to stop his ascension or die trying. Ravage leaves to speak to MAGMATRON, and Lyle hands Bump the sample of Angoma energy and orders him to create a retrovirus for all of CYBERTRON. When Ravage visits MAGMATRON, he asks him what's the plan. He managed to get everyone on CYBERTRON here. MAGMATRON initially answers to just fight and die, which goes to show MAGMATRON didn't really thoroughly plan out how to defeat Shockract. However, after saying this to Ravage, he ponders for a moment and tells Ravage to bring Shockract to him. He's going for a Hail Mary play here, since everyone but Shockract knows that he is being used and will be sacrificed to bring about Unicron. He intends to reveal everything to him. Now, what MAGMATRON says next is another example of how the old ruthless MAGMATRON is still within him. He tells Ravage to get a chronal phase facilitator attached to Shockract, but that whoever is the one to do it is most likely going to get killed. So he says, find a suitable maximal for the job. Now, Ravage, a bit out of character here, asks how RAZORBEAST is doing on Earth. MAGMATRON answers, badly. That's where we go next, with RAZORBEAST by himself taking on all the Blentrons. Even Ratarata, who's free from his restraints, and Transgido's virus. Surprisingly, even though they're also powered by Angoma energy, RAZORBEAST is holding his own. Now, some of the Maximals and Predacons that didn't go with Lyle Convoy and Ravage are just watching this fight go down. They don't outright say this, but the only logical explanation as to why they didn't leave with them is because they're not in fighting shape, which is why some of them are hesitant to join the fight. However, when they realize the Blentrons will be coming for them next, they rally and charge the battlefield. While the Blentrons are distracted, Optimus Minor checks in on RAZORBEAST, who tells him that he's slipping away, that soon the Angoma infection will overwhelm him forever. He makes Optimus Minor promise that when that happens, to basically kill him. Optimus Minor, riding RAZORBEAST, and all the Maximals and Predacons take the fight to the Blentrons. Returning to CYBERTRON, Ravage has told the Maximals MAGMATRON's plan. They establish their attack plan. The majority of the Maximals and Predacons will be drawing Shockract's attention, while Snarl and Prowl will try to attach the chronal phase facilitator onto him. Ravage will be lying in wait for Shockract's heralds when they try to reinforce him. Shockract begins to absorb all the chaos and negative energy across CYBERTRON, beginning his ascension into godhood. He says, I who was once less than nothing, beneath the notice of friend and foe, shall scribe my name across this world, and then have my omnipresence writ in the stars. The problem with this speech is that you wouldn't know that Shockorak was a lowly Predacon unless you read the Beast Wars story I mentioned in the last video, reaching the Omega Point, where he debuted. We should have gotten his backstory in some capacity in this series. It's yet another example of the story assuming we as the reader know the established history of everything. So that's a big reason why I tried my best to explain everything to you all in the last video. Now, all the Maximals and Predacons launch their attack, and all of their combined firepower doesn't even phase Shockorak at all. When he responds with his own firepower, bodies start dropping left and right. He also calls on his heralds to return to him. Even though Maximals are literally dying around him, I love how unserious Grimlock is. He has a couple of Maximals die around him and he just says, "This reminds me of the good old days." Meanwhile on Earth, the Maximals and Predacons gain the upper hand on the Blentrons and eventually defeat them. But the fight isn't over yet for them, because RAZORBEAST has fully lost control. Optimus Minor, still on top of him, pleads for him to not make him do it. Though we don't see it, Optimus Minor is sadly forced to kill RAZORBEAST. Back on Cybertron, Shockorak's heralds have joined the battle. Prowl drops Snarl right on top of Shockorak's position, and he successfully attaches the Chronal Phase Facilitator onto him and transports him to Magmatron's temporal limbo. When Shockorak's heralds are left confused by his disappearance, Ravage makes his move. He throws a grenade in between them and they get blasted back. Now Magmatron tells Shockorak that this is his world that he's in full control of, and that theoretically he could leave him here for an eternity, but eventually his master would find him and free him. Of course, Shockorak, not knowing he's been being played the whole time, responds that he serves no one. That's when Magmatron shows him his future, where he is being consumed by the Angoma energy, because it's so powerful that no mortal shell could bear it all. He then shows him that his true destiny is to be sacrificed, and that his death leads to Unicron being reborn. He offers him the choice to embrace the destiny laid before him, or to rage against it. Initially, Shockorak refuses to believe it and calls it an illusion, but ultimately, he accepts that Magmatron is telling him the truth. The Blentrons were using him the entire time. He says, "I see it all now. The promises, the lies, the manipulation. You used me. I was nothing after all." He rips out the anti-Matrix from his chest, killing himself and destroying the Matrix at the same time. This unleashes a time lash across the universe. Now, we don't see Shockorak's death for some reason. We learn all this through Magmatron, who suddenly is out of his temporal limbo, back in time, and explains this to Ravage and the Maximals. He also mentions that the surviving heralds fled. It's all honestly a little anticlimactic. This is why this series just needed an extra issue explaining Shockorak's origin and him being recruited and manipulated by the Blentrons. Lyle Convoy asks Magmatron if he knows what happened on Earth. Magmatron answers, "A victory, but a costly one. If you're planning on any monuments, I can think of no one more deserving than RAZORBEAST." That's when we see RAZORBEAST's body and Optimus Minor and the Maximals on Earth mourning him. From here we go to a quick epilogue where Bump delivers the first batch of the anti-Angoma retrovirus. Big Convoy and Lyle Convoy discuss having a lot more work to do because there's still civil unrest, they need to cure those still infected with the Angoma energy, and they have a lot of rebuilding to do on Cybertron because of the damage from their battle with Shockorak, his heralds, and the damage done by the infected citizens all across the planet. Big Convoy says, "I suppose we can hope no new threat rears its head before we are ready." Unfortunately for the Maximals on Cybertron, Megatron has arrived. Remember, in the last video, the last we heard about him was that Optimus Primal and the Maximals won the Beast Wars, imprisoned him, and were on their way back to Cybertron. Now, we don't learn what happened to them, but because Megatron arrives at the end of the story, it implies that Cybertron's current weakened state is how Megatron was able to easily conquer it, and why, at the start of the Beast Machines show, we discover he rules the planet. A lot of questions go unanswered, unfortunately, like which Maximals and Predacons survived the battle on Cybertron and on Earth, if the surviving Maximals and Predacons on Earth were ever rescued at some point, where did the Heralds flee to? It's kind of a cliffhanger-ish ending to the entire series. I really wish we got another series. Well, that's the end of Beast Wars: The Ascending. Comment below your thoughts. I'm curious to learn about how you all felt about the last minute connection to Beast Machines. Also, how you felt about the series as a whole. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you want more Beast Wars content, check out IDW's reboot of the series right here. Other than that, have an awesome day, and always remember every day to go beyond.